My organization has considered purchasing an application to help track calls into our help desk to replace the manual Excel spreadsheet that we're using right now. We could buy something, but if I check, you'll notice that there's a help desk app that is available right here. And it's a Canvas app. This tells me it provides a user-friendly experience to connect end users with support professionals. You can quickly find answers to your most important questions. It opens with sample data, but we have to do some setup to make it our own. It's a Canvas app designed to run on a phone, and we can tell that from the shape of it. This shape is called form factor, and this form factor is for phones. If I click preview, I'll be taken directly into Power Apps so that I can preview the Help Desk app, but I'm asked first to provide permission for Microsoft Power Apps to connect this app to me. It says I'm already signed in as an Office 365 user, and I might wonder what permissions does it want. So I can click this link, and it will tell me that the app will be able to read my user profile and the profiles of other users like my manager or direct reports. But it's not able to modify or delete any profile information. That sounds good to me. I'm going to allow this. And this is a preview of what the app will look like. We can make whatever changes to it we wish if we'd like to replace this screen with a different screen. But it says if I want to use the help desk, I can click here to log in. I don't have any help desk tickets now, but I can create one. Ticket ID 3, I can give it a title, choose a category from a drop-down list. That is customizable. I can set a priority again, another customizable list, and then enter a description. And because title, category, and description are required, they have a little asterisk. I won't be able to create this ticket until I actually provide information in those fields, but let's go back now. And log out and go back in as a help desk admin. It says you don't have admin privileges. So I would need to have administrative privileges in order to view this preview, but I won't need to have administrative privileges to be able to see it in design view. This looks like a fine app to create. Helpdesk 0408 isn't exactly the names that I'd like to have for this though. So I'm actually going to call this Kinetico Help Desk because that's my organization and it shows a connection to Microsoft Office that we talked about a moment ago. I'm going to click Create. The app is being created and I might be prompted again to allow this to connect to my account. That's part of the security that's built into the Power Platform. If you choose Complex Template, it might take longer because it has to make more connections, but again, I'll allow this, and if I had wanted to switch to another account, I could have done that. This app has the login screen that we saw earlier. It has a screen that confirms submissions if I want to see what that looks like. I can click there, confirm deletion that you've deleted a ticket. The screen we saw initially, show me my tickets. We didn't have one, yet to view a ticket that we've already created. The screen that we saw that allowed us to create a new ticket. There's a similar screen that would allow us to edit a ticket. Perhaps we'd have more information to add to our description. And then we have a couple of other screens, collections and variables, collection and variables, and a set of screen. So, a fairly robust app with a lot of information here already designed for us. I mentioned that we could make changes to the screen. Let's go back to this login screen, and there's a background. There's the background, and it is a photo of a help desk administrator. If I wanted to change this image, note that I could simply add an image file here, or if I didn't want to have an image at all, I could choose none. So making changes here to customize the app that's been built for us is a fairly easy prospect. This app is done, but I haven't saved it yet, and until I save it, I couldn't share it with anyone else, and also I would have to save it even to be able to use it myself. However, without even saving this application, we know something. It's really wicked easy to create a new application from a template in Microsoft Power Apps. I'm simply going to close this app that I'm building. Say leave. I don't want to save my changes, and I'm back on my screen for Microsoft Power App. I'm going to show you how you can easily create a mobile application based on columns of data that you would like to have people input information for. We start here in Excel, and we're going to create our table here and the columns that I have in my table, which is a simple tracking app for where different tools are located. Is tool. How many there are QTY for quantity. Location. And date. That's it. I could have somebody enter their initials too if I wanted to, so let's add that. Next, I'm going to format this as a table. Doesn't matter what you choose. And I need to tell it that my table has headers because it does. I'm going to name this table supplies too, just because it saves me a step later. And finally, I'm going to store this in a place where Power Apps can get to it and where other users can get to it, which is OneDrive for Business. I could also save in SharePoint, so let's do File. Save As. I'm going to save it in my OneDrive. I have lots of choices here. I'm going to click More Options because I'd like to see a little bit more. And I'm going to put it in my Power Apps folder. And I want to call this Tools Tracker. There we go. Now I'm going to close it because this needs to be closed so that Power Apps can write to it. So here I am back in Power Apps. I'm going to choose Start from Data, and I'm going to select Excel Online. Power Apps Studio loads. It brings up a list of connections I've created already. If you need to create a new connection, simply click New Connection and go to OneDrive for Business. I already have a connection to OneDrive for Business, more than one in fact. And if I scroll down, there's my Tool Tracker spreadsheet. And it asked me to choose a table, and this is why, because it looks so good here when I select it. After I select it, the Connect button is enabled, and I click Connect. Power Apps is now creating an application for that simple spreadsheet that we created. I'm going to skip see the preview, and my app has a browse screen, a detail screen, and an edit screen. So I wish to begin on the browse screen. I'm going to click Browse Screen, or I could choose App if I referred. And click Review because I'll be allowed to preview whatever selected. If I preview from the detail screen, that's what I'm seeing, and I actually want to review the app as a whole. Shows me supplies the name of my table. Isn't that nice? I don't have to edit it here, and I can create a new item and check it out. It has a place for the date, which I could enter today's date. My initials, remember we added that, and the location is Hoop House, and there are 2 hammers. Click Injustice like that. I'm back on the browse screen, and here is the first item. If I want to view it, I can click. If I want to edit it, I can click the pencil. Wow, that's cool. Very quickly and easily, I have an application for my browse screen. Again, in the preview mode, I can search for different items. So if I look for hoop, for example, it would show me the Hoop House. If I want to search by person, I could search by initials and so on. So the preview allows you to see what's happening with the application. There are a few other things that I would need to do to make this application available to other people, but Power Apps has been writing this item that I've entered back to my Excel workbook in OneDrive for Business. Here's my workbook tool, quantity, location, date, and then a Power Apps ID, which is a unique ID that was added as a column to my table by Power Apps. So we have an app in 6 minutes or less for a custom business need. That's the power of Power Apps. Let me show you a few additional steps that you would take if you wanted to save an app. For example, if you choose to hang on to this Tools app that we've been creating, there is an app checker with a stethoscope icon. That will check any formulas or anything else to make sure that everything works. So you can tell it to check, and if it finds errors, it will flag them. It finds 8 possible accessibility errors, and the error is that I have text boxes that don't have descriptors, and I can fix those, and I'm missing one tab stop. And I want to fix those accessibility errors, the 8 of them, before I was sharing this app broadly in my workplace. Also note that this toolbar has not just an app checker, but it has an undo and a redo button, and the preview button that we used earlier, and then finally a share with other users button. When we're ready to save our app, we'll go to File, and it takes us to the Save As screen. You have a choice to save your app to Power Apps in the cloud, or to save a copy to your computer while you're working on it. I'm going to choose to save it in the cloud. The name is currently App, and I want to change its name to Tool Tracker. And it will be saved in the default environment, Kinetico, because this is the Power Apps environment I built it in. You may have access to multiple environments, and if you do, you'll want to make sure that you're creating your apps in the correct environment. For example, I have a sandbox that you'll see later, and applications that are created there are really available only to me and to other developers. I'm going to click Save to save this to the cloud, and all of my changes have been saved. I can return now to Power Apps and close this if I wish, but if I look at my apps now, you'll notice that the app listed at the very top is the Tool Tracker that we just created. And if I wish, I can use the Microsoft Power Apps mobile app on my iPhone, point to this app, and run it from my mobile device, which is the point of creating it to begin with.